Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. This is live stream 1280. Magic. If you're not overly familiar with the show, I guess it's pretty obvious. We don't take things too seriously around here. We're just hanging out, having fun, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing game news. And then we'll normally take a look at a game. Tonight, we're actually going to be diving on in, taking a peek at Tales of the Valiant's Player's Guide 2 from my friends over at Kobold Press. That is what we've got on the agenda tonight. Stay tuned for that. But of course, as mentioned, we're just having fun. We're not engaged in anything like rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just enjoying ourselves. Of course, when you're not enjoying yourself watching videos on the Gaming Gang YouTube channel, be sure to enjoy yourself by going over and visiting thegaminggang.com for a whole lot of news and reviews that you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. If you check that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a comment, question, thoughts, float them on out there. I'll do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight in chat is Kevin R. Smith. Semper Buffo's also with us, as is Danny W. Gable. Keithulu's here, and I think that is it. I know the Madman will not be joining us, one of our chat moderators, simply because it is gaming night for him. But we might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D on hand, lurking in the shadows with the glittery banhammer. So behave. And of course, if we don't have any chat moderators, I'm the one who boots people out for misbehaving. And I don't have much patience for shenanigans. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police is joining us. Very nice. Very nice. Kevin R. Smith says they got the PDF, I believe, of this from backing the Kickstarter. Looks good so far. Though they wonder about some of the new classes. Yeah, there are 3 new classes. There are new heritages. There are new lineages. There are new subclasses, backgrounds. Bunch of stuff. But, of course, that's just what I've heard through the grapevine. I have not cracked this open yet. We will in about 35, maybe 40 minutes. So it's important if you're tuning in because you want to see the first look. We always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So, like I said, it'll be about 35, 40 minutes. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax. It's hump day. Halfway to the weekend. Relax. Enjoy yourself. Now, of course, if you're watching this 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, well, there will be timestamps. So if you want to skip past the news, you certainly can. There will be timestamps in the show notes, and depending on the device you might happen to be watching this on, those timestamps might be right there in the timeline of the video as well. So there is that. And yes, Sarah D is with us tonight. She says the shadow moderator is here. Cronierios is with us. For some reason, that nickname rings a bell. I believe this is not the first time they've visited us in chat. So welcome back. If that happens to be the case, I'm pretty sure that's the case. But you're like, I don't know. I stumbled into this place. I don't know what the hell's going on here. It's like, this is the wrong show. I thought this was part of Board Game Geek. I'm out of here. You never know. You never know. All right, we got plenty of news. So let's dive right on in, because the reforged edition of Castles and Crusades, Gods and Legends is now available. I've got the skinny from Troll Lord Games. Though the gods dwell beyond the confines of the world, they are drawn to it. Too often they see to force their will. For some reason that didn't connect with me when I first read that. Upon the realms of mortals. Channeling this divine will lies upon the shoulders of the cleric and the paladin, the skald and the druid. They turn to the gods through prayer, ritual, sacrifice, and devotion, all in hopes of bringing that power into and through themselves to unleash it upon the world at large. Within Gods and Legends, there are hundreds of deities for both your characters and monsters. Dwarves, elves, gnomes, orcs, gnolls, and more besides. Each deity comes complete with information you'll need, from which to sacrifice to what kinds of temples they prefer. It also includes short stats for the gods of the Celts, the Greeks, Egyptians, Norse, Slavic, and Sinirim. I think I pronounced that right. They are Chinese as far as the cultures. More than that, Gods and Legends comes with guidance on how to run deities and the characters that worship them. What lies within Gods and Legends? Gods and Legends consists of three main parts. The Anvil of the Gods, a how-to section. Humanoid pantheons, from humans to dwarfs to orcs. And then real-world mythologies. In Anvil of the Gods, it's the first part of Gods and Legends, and you'll find a host of guidelines and suggestions for running deities in your campaign. Beginning with deities in a role-playing game, the Troll Lords explore the role of deities at the table, both for divine-based characters and the mundane fighter and rogue. The section covers role-playing the deities themselves, the how and why, struggles with the deities, and a short description of the powers they all possess. There's also Gifts and Boons, the Holy Gift. Here, the roles of various classes in the deity/character relation is explored, as far as clerics, paladins, and druids. Then there's gods and avatars. The abilities of gods transcend most characters, but it is always possible to use the god's avatar, whether your games are high level or low. Learn how to use them no matter what your campaign. And then we've got healing and holy symbols. These sections delve into one of the major aspects of character play and how it relates to the gods. Then our second section, Erde, dwarf, elf, halfling, gnome, humanoids, bugbear, gnoll, goblin, orc, hobgoblin, lizardman, kobold, giant, ogre, troll, dragon, fae, centaur, merman, and sharkkin. You will find deities for all of those races. Then the book wraps up with real-world mythologies. Here the Troll Lords step lightly into the real world and plug into the stat blocks for Celtic, Greek, Egyptian, Norse, Slavic, and Sinirim deities. Each entry exists as a stat block of the necessary information, as those are covered in far greater detail in the Mythos series of books. This 149-page hardcover is available now. It carries an MSRP of $29.99. If you want to grab the PDF, you can do so for $19.99. And I will point out that if you're not overly concerned with this being the reforged edition, which essentially means that some typos have been cleaned up and such, I do believe you can get the same book. It's just the previous print run over at Drive-Thru RPG in PDF for $10. It's a special deal that I had noticed is going on over at Drive-Thru RPG. I also want to mention, I don't know if this is color or black and white, or grayscale, I guess I would say. The images they shared are grayscale, but you also have the two latest books that came out, the Codex Exaltum and Codex Infernum, same price point, about the same page count. Those were colored. And as you can tell, the artwork on these pages, a lot of it is colors. So I don't know. I'm guessing it probably is still black and white or grayscale. But I am kind of curious. We might actually have an opportunity to check out this reforged edition. I know I have to reach out to Chuck Cumbo to get on the same page as far as some of the newer stuff that's popping on out. In fact, I still have an issue of the Crusader that we're going to take a peek at. We might do that next week because I think issue 30 is coming out and I've got issue 29. And I think we had a pretty good time taking a look at Fight On last night. So I'm going to try to maybe get some more zines out there for you to take a peek at, and of course, for me to take a peek at as well. All right. So Spelling Mistake and Kathy Evans have popped on into chat. Good to see you both again. Moon right along. Modiphius Entertainment has begun taking pre-orders for Fallout Wasteland Wanderer. Here's the scoop. Welcome to your life on the surface. Congratulations. If you're listening to this, you've been selected to leave your vault and explore the surface. It's Reclamation Day. See the accompanying leaflet VLPD-11-A. This survival guide has been prepared for your lone expedition with instructions on how to navigate the possible dangers after decades of nuclear disaster. But don't worry, you won't really be alone, because thanks to your Vault-Tec issued Pip-Boy, you'll be able to record your expedition's progress. It's imperative that you record your progress so that if your Pip-Boy is reclaimed by your replacement, they'll know what to do next. This solo role-playing game contains a complete standalone set of rules adapted from Fallout, the role-playing game, to play original Fallout stories with characters of your own creation. With this 256-page full-color, royal-sized hardcover guide, I don't know what royal-sized means. Oh, look at that book! It's royal size. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, with the hardcover guide, you can create an original Vault Dweller roleplay, as well as their original vault, explore a randomly generated wasteland, and record your story as you travel the surface. Learn about the Fallout setting and its factions from coast to coast. Generate quests, scenarios, opponents, and obstacles from a huge variety of random Oracle tables. It's also compatible with Fallout, the role-playing game. Now, if you do pre-order this, you will receive the complimentary PDF immediately upon purchase. Well. And I will say, as of this morning, the PDF is not out at Drive-Thru RPG yet. Now, you can currently pre-order the 256-page hardcover with PDF for $56.26. Yes, it's that exchange rate. That's why those prices are always a little bit wacky. I will guess the MSRP on this is probably $49.99, maybe $54.99. But keep in mind, you do get the PDF if you're ordering from Modiphius. It's not always that case if you buy it through a retailer. Now, as I mentioned, the PDF by itself is not available yet. It's not even available over at Modiphius. But I will take a guess. We're probably looking at an MSRP of either $24.99 or $29.99. Interesting. Well. So, not to like rain on anybody's parade, right? But if you were going to play Fallout by yourself, wouldn't you just boot up one of the adventures? One of the, Fallout 2, 3, New Vegas, whatever, on your computer? I know. It's not the same. I'm kind of curious if this is kind of a journaling role-playing game, kind of like the Captain's Log is with Star Trek from Modiphius Entertainment. I would think maybe not. That's one of the things about solitaire role-playing games. They're very different from each other. So, some of them are kind of, solitaire, but in essence, you're just, maneuvering the enemies and monsters and stuff like that, like the game master would. And then others are just all about oracles, the yes, the no, the maybe, getting your answers from dice rolls, asking questions, getting answers. I would be curious to take a peek at this. All right, let's see. W Forge and Agile Monk is with us. Good friend of the show, Agile Monk. Pete's Tracklish is also hanging with the gang tonight. So we got a nice chat rocking and rolling. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police says, Fallout tabletop role-playing game. I forgot I have that. Thanks for the reminder. Hey, I aim to please. What can I tell you? Moonray Long. Bundle of Holding is currently offering a money-saving deal on third-party Shadow Dark releases, and I've got the deets on that deal. Adventurer. This all-new Shadow Dark compatible bundle presents third-party tabletop fantasy role-playing game sourcebooks and adventures for the Arcane Library's old-school fantasy role-playing game. You guessed it, Shadow Dark. Funded in a record-shattering February 2023 Kickstarter campaign, Kelsey Dion's Shadow Dark RPG is what old-school fantasy gaming would look like after an overhaul based on 50 years of innovation. Shadow Dark plays fast and deadly in the old-school revival manner. Its generous third-party license has inspired many designers to publish their own Shadow Dark dungeons and source books. This all-new offer brings you dozens of dungeon crawls, large and small, for an unbeatable bargain price. Each adventure is ready to run with minimal preparation. Roll 6 3d6 ability scores in order. Pick one of 4 classes. Take your sword and pittance of hit points and start on down the tunnel. But be sure to bring plenty of torches, because Shadow Dark torches last just 1 hour of real time. For just $17.95, you'll get all 7 complete supplements and adventures in the Darkly Compatible Collection. Has a retail value of $87 as DRM-free PDFs. There is the 19th level dungeon Below Down from Menagerie Press, a sourcebook and adventure pack full of evil cults, Dark Visions, and its sequel, Tower of Six, from RPG Ramblings. A hexcrawl journey through 41 mini-dungeons, The Devoured Labyrinth, from Bite-Sized Gaming. Horde, a sourcebook of goblin and orc cultures from Isegrim Creations. Hyborian Adventures, with adaptations of 5 early Robert E. Howard Conan stories, which are probably public domain, no doubt, as Shadow Dark Scenarios from Menagerie Press, as well as a collection of over 100 magical items, Treasures from the Dark, from Jeff Stevens Games. These savings run through February 16th. And you may recall, and this was just a coincidence, yesterday I had mentioned we were going to take a look at Dark Visions next week. And then yesterday they launched this bundle of holdings. So what we are going to do, you might recall last night's show, I had pointed out RPG Ramblings Publishing or Publications had pointed out that they wanted to get some stuff in my hands. So I have got Dark Visions and the Tower of Six. So seeing that these are connected, we're going to take a look at both of these together next week. And I also have the Devoured Labyrinth, which Pete Strakowicz says they just pre-ordered. So there you have it. So we will not take a look at this at the same time as these, but I do have this. I've got, I think, two other items. I've got the Gary's Appendix Omnibus. I think it's volume 1, which you may recall I reviewed the first 3 issues of Gary's Appendix and liked them quite a bit. And then I've got another, I think it's an adventure. It's an OSR adventure that we will be checking out in the not too distant future. So there is that. So when we take a peek at the Dark Visions and Tower of the Six, or is it just Tower of Six? The Tower of Six. Next week, they look pretty good. You'll already know you can get them in PDF for a steal. In fact, I think the Devoured Labyrinth PDF alone is more than this entire bundle. How about that? On to our next news piece. Next month brings the Starfighter 2nd Edition Alien Core Pocket Edition. Here's a lowdown from Paizo Inc. Battles in outer space or on distant planets need aliens. Inside Starfighter Alien Core, you'll find over 200 creatures, including science fantasy favorites like robots, spacefaring fae, and all-new dragons. Alien beasts from friendly spider-like amphinids to fearsome plant-like predator Zarix, and unique monsters that threaten the galaxy of Starfinder like Ginsel troopers and vicious swarm subspecies. You'll also find legacy Pathfinder creatures with a science fiction update, like nanite-infused Elgolthus, and Starfinder classics like Akatis and Laser Wolves. These creatures cover all levels of play, from scavenging slug-like diathas to powerful drift-dwelling spectra. Starfinder Alien Core is the only book Game Masters need to add enemies and allies of all sorts to their Starfinder 2nd Edition game, providing enough aliens of all power levels and thematic niches to populate countless worlds. And since Starfinder 2nd Edition is fully compatible with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, every alien presented in this massive tome can pull double duty in Pathfinder campaigns with next to no adjustment. The Alien Core includes over 200 individual alien write-ups, including common foes like glitch-spawning gremlins, robots programmed for assassination, and mindless cybernetic zombies, to unique creatures that can threaten even the most experienced interstellar explorers, such as Akaton's dreaded Lumatula and the giant Castrovillian ooze known as the Terror of Ukalam. Gotta love all these fictional names and places and things. Somebody's gonna be like, Jeff mispronounced Umalam. It's Ukulam, dummy. Well, you're okay. You'll find 4 new science fantasy dragons, giving a new spin to adventure fantasy's oldest foes, representing the 4 magical traditions. Whether it's the divine cosmic dragon or primal host dragon, these beasts are sure to make a memorable experience with every encounter. New additions to classic RPG creature families like angels, devils, trolls, and giant worms, representative combatants from some of the Starfinder setting's most iconic organizations, including the Aslanti Star Empire's Aeon Guards, the Imperious Hell Knights, nature-loving Xeno Wardens, the undead crew of the infamous Corpse Fleet, and more. Simple creature adjustments that allow you to customize a monster, tuning its power level or theme with just a few simple alterations. Dial up the tech level of fantasy creatures or the magical nature of scientific anomalies and keep your players on their toes. With their guidelines for reading and using alien statistics, ensuring you get the most out of a creature both in and out of combat, lists of creatures sorted by both type and level, making it easy to find the alien you need when you need it, as well as hundreds of beautiful full-color creature illustrations. The 224-page softcover pocket edition will carry an MSRP of $29.99 when it arrives in stores on February 4th. The PDF is available now for $19.99. So something I mentioned when gamers out there point out Paizo role-playing releases, the physical books are getting way overpriced. I tell them two things. One, keep your eyes peeled for the pocket editions because they are a lot less. They are smaller. So keep that in mind. If you've got old eyes like I've got, a little tougher on the old eyes. But it's also more than half the price, or I should say less than half the price of the core book itself, or look for the PDFs. A lot of times the PDFs of core books from Paizo are quite a bit less than just half price, because kind of the going thought process is PDFs are half the price of a physical book. I know, doesn't make a ton of sense, but that's what most companies kind of stick to. A lot of times with the core books, not the case with Paizo Inc. And then the other thing I always say is keep your eyes open on Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle tends to team up with Paizo Inc. multiple times a year, and then they will share just fantastic deals. So more often than not, it's Pathfinder related, but the last Pathfinder Humble Bundle had all remastered stuff in it. So it was not, well, you know, it's second edition Pathfinder, but not the remastered stuff yet. That one was. So there you have it. We also have our review of Alien Core out. So if you want to check that out, Sammy took care of that. She's got a written review of that. And I also did a first look video of the Alien Core. So there you go. I like Starfinder. I tell people all the time, once we get a few more of the like player-facing books come out, Starfinder will once again be the role-playing game that has the most options available to its players as far as character creation. On to our final news piece, now available in print from Old School Dungeon Master, is The Haunted Keep. Here's the latest. An old school dungeon adventure inspired by the Moldvay Basic Edition, playable with dice, pencil, and paper. The Haunted Keep is a complete one-shot adventure for old school fantasy role-playing games, reimagining and expanding upon the legendary Haunted Keep example from the 1981 basic set. Designed for use with any OSR or 5e style rule set, this adventure includes maps, keys, NPCs, treasures, and monsters. Everything a dungeon master needs to bring the ruined fortress of the Odemus family to life. Once a proud castle, the keep has long fallen into ruin. Strange lights now flicker from its broken towers, and villagers whisper of cries echoing through the night. Unknown to the outside world, the cursed Otimus family still dwells below, their bloodline transformed into a sinister clan of were-rats, commanding a host of goblins from the caverns beneath the fortress. It's the rats in the walls. Yeah, that's not a real deep cut. I'm sure quite a few of you understand where I'm coming from with that. The hero's journey begins with a desperate rescue. Villagers have been kidnapped by goblin raiders and taken to the ruins of the keep. But as the adventurers delve deeper, they uncover the grim truth that something far more dangerous than goblins lurks below the crumbling gate towers. The party's mission begins with the abduction of villagers from Blaze. Sent by Sir Robert, the heroes must infiltrate the ruined keep, confront Grok's goblins, and rescue the captives. But deeper below, the Otimus family plots to reclaim their ancestral lands through blood and dark magic. The final confrontation in the family's subterranean temple may decide the fates of the region. Whether you're a veteran dungeon master seeking a nostalgic return to the Magenta Box era, or a new DM looking for a complete, ready-to-play adventure, the Haunted Keep delivers everything you need to run a night of classic dungeon crawling and gothic intrigue. Gather your courage, light your torches, and enter the ruin where the Otimus curse endures. The Haunted Keep awaits. The 28-page softcover is available at DriveThruRPG for $14.99. No PDF as of yet, though. That I was kind of surprised. Wee bit surprised it is not out in PDF. But if it does make an appearance in PDF, I will make I'll adjust the news piece for The Haunted Keep over on thegaminggang.com. Danny W. Gable guesses Willard. And wrong answer, Danny. It's actually H.P. Lovecraft's The Rats in the Walls. I only told you the title. The Delaporte family. It's a pretty good story. The Svinehead. Pretty damn creepy, that story, too. The Rats in the Walls and At the Mountains of Madness have, like, at their heart, some really messed up stuff if you pay attention. So I remember my nephew Cameron was reading some H.P. Lovecraft, and he had just finished At the Mountains of Madness. And I had asked him, I said, so you did catch what the scariest part of that is? And he's like, oh, yeah, the Shoggoth that's chasing them. And I'm like, no. The creepiest thing about that story is that humanity was created by the Elder Things. So he's like, it was? I'm like, yeah, it's in the story. It's in the novella. I didn't notice that. I'm like, it's from the 1930s. It's not like today where it's like, if you're a writer, you got to spell everything out. Not all the time, but a lot of writers who write pop culture sort of. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that. What would they call it? Mass market paperbacks back in the day when you'd have a book come out and it would be in paperback and it would never be in hardcover because hardcover was reserved for the classic, the good literature. So, yeah, one of my favorite H.P. Lovecraft stories. All right, so that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit DriveThruRPG Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the numerous One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up. Help keep thegaminggang.com around. No joke. Really does. Of course, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang if you happen to like the channel. I'm going to mention something about subscribers and the little notification bell in just a moment. But if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways you can support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Whoa, that's cold, because it's cold down here in the Duct Tape Studios again. Not as bad as last night. The tip of my nose isn't like ice cold right now, but it's still kind of chilly. And then, of course, you can become a member of our Patreon on a monthly basis. Of course, there are links down in the show notes for those. And also down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It's absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Then, of course, I try to say thank you to all our Patreon members during each of the live shows. I forgot last night because I was freezing my balls off down here. I completely zoned on it. But I'll make up for it tonight. So a big thank you to Adrian Carpio, Kuval, Kevin R. Smith, Talzek, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman. Got something to share about Herman Lutman in a second, too. Gustavo Cavalho, Matt Weiss, Kevin King, Game Cat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Big thank you for being monthly Patreon members. Okay, speaking of Herman Lutman, he reached out to me to thank me for the unboxing we did of the Plum Island Horror, More of a Bad Thing. And he mentioned there is a new edition of Dawn of the Zeds on the horizon. If I remember right, I think he said it's from a company called Blue Panther. I'm not familiar with them, but he said it is actually going to be much, much closer to the second edition, which is pretty much my favorite of the editions, at least game-wise. Component quality, no, nothing like the one that came out from Victory Point Games after it was bought by Tabletop Tycoon. But gameplay-wise, yes, it is my absolute favorite of the Dawn of the Zeds. So that is on the horizon. We're going to end up getting a chance to take a peek at that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then the other thing I was going to mention is I was kind of surprised. I was digging through some of the analytics because you may have been watching last week when I mentioned, I said, live streams are probably going to be coming to an end at some point, sooner rather than later. And the reality is that it's because I talked about how the monetization on the live streams is like separate than afterwards. And it seems like YouTube's a little shifty about this. Could you believe that? YouTube trying to cheat people out of money? Never. So I had pointed out that a lot of times the automatic insertion of ads that are supposed to be done on the videos, on the live streams, never happens. So the majority of the views that the live stream gets, and then after the stream has ended aren't monetized. So I was talking to my best friend Elliot today, and as Agile Monk blasts out a couple of super chats for $4.99 each. Tip of the hat to Jeff and the Madman, and a special tip of the hat to Sarah D, our 2 chat moderators. Although no tip of the hat to the Madman. He's not here tonight. He's too busy playing games. Wish I had the opportunity to play games every 2 weeks. Sadly, don't get enough opportunities. Although I did play some games with Elliot when we were at Page. Mostly in the hotel. I mean, board games, not, mine's out of the gutter, okay? I don't swing that way, so anyway. But anyway, let's talk to Elliot. And Elliot's like, man, you stop doing the live streams, it's probably going to kill the channel. I'm like, yeah, I get it. It will not be a good thing for the channel, probably. But I said, it's gotten to the point where, give you an example, this month, it's showing I have just a little more as far as number of views than average. So it's showing that, and then it's showing about 5,000 watch hours it's like the past 28 days, And so that's about right. And then our subs are, I think we're like 15 subs ahead of average, because I think we pull in like 175 subs a month, thereabouts. And so everything is above average. And then it showed the amount of monetization that I'm getting this month, and it's 30% less than last month. And it's about 35% less than average. So I'm like, so how does that work? I have more views, a little bit more watch time. Subs really don't matter. I'm like, but my revenue is down 30%. And it's like, okay, well, what does that tell me? Yeah. It's like, okay, getting the same number of views, watch time's up a little bit. I mean, watch time's up like maybe 100 hours. So we're always right about somewhere 4,800, 5,000 watch hours every 28 days or whatever. And I'm like, so I told Elliot, I said, amazingly enough, you may not believe this, but there is work that does go into doing this live show. And I said, it's getting to the point where, like Agile Monk just made a couple of super chats. It's like the past 2-3 weeks, I'm averaging about $4.99 per live stream. I'm like, what? I had somebody had commented. They were like, well, you have to be a YouTube partner in order to monetize your videos. And my answer was like, I've been a partner for like a decade. I know all about how monetization works. It's like, I can't force the ads to be shown, but yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so I mean, we're fine. We're doing live streams. If I decide they're going to come to an end, you will know ahead of time. I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, everybody. Just so you know, this is the last show. If I do something like that, then something has happened. Something dire has taken place in my life, not, damn it, 30% less. How? That's why I couldn't. I'm standing there sitting there looking at this stuff. I'm like, everything's up except for the revenue. Beauty. Agile Monk says Jeff was a partner before you knew what partners are. Anywho. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that, that's one of the reasons why it's not that it's like, oh, it's such a drag or anything like that. I mean, it also keeps me out of trouble. I've mentioned that before. But it's also starting to get a little ridiculous on YouTube's part. And, I mentioned this before. It's like after 48 hours, there is absolutely, well, okay, I don't want to say zero, but next to zero promotion of the videos in anybody's feeds. Because I can tell looking at the analytics. So, and I know we've had this discussion before, like dungeon tubers are all up in arms because, their numbers are way down and all this other. The thing is, I'm not a dungeon tuber, and I would prefer not to be thrown in with that group. This is a news and reviews channel for tabletop gaming, mainly role-playing games. We are not a Dungeons and Dragons channel. So, and I understand why there has been a move in the algorithm of YouTube to promote those videos less, because there's so much clickbait with those videos. And we talked about it before, where it's just a cycle with some of these dungeon tubers out there. It's, why D&D is dead. Then they move on and they latch on to some hotness. This is going to be the role-playing game that, dethrones Dungeons and Dragons. This is going to take the crown from D&D. Then it gets back to, why Dungeons and Dragons is on the upswing. And it just goes in a circle like that. It's like, oh, D&D sucks. Wizards of the Coast sucks. Daggerheart's going to bump off D&D. And it's like, oh, D&D's making a comeback. It's like every couple of months it goes through that. Agile Monk says, Jeff's definitely not a dungeon tuber. He is and has always been the real thing. I'm not saying that everybody who's a dungeon tuber isn't the real thing. It's just that there are a lot of folks out there where it's the same shtick in a cycle all the time. Says, from these efforts to his website, etc., a real news person for the hobby and community. I don't know if I'm a real news person, but I try. Like I said before, I find it funny how many people, they watch videos, they're really not aware of the website, or they visit the website. The website does really well. And they're like, they just don't happen to watch many of the videos. It's like, okay, I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious on the website, like what's video and what's like an article or a news post. So anyway, Pete Stracklett says, I am a great steward to the hobby. Well, thank you. That's all I really look at myself as someone who's here to promote the hobby, but I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. Even though that would probably tickle a little bit. That might feel kind of good, but I'm not here to do that. Agile Monk says Jeff doesn't have an agent out there selling him. No, I certainly don't. And insisting that he say all the same stuff as the others they agent for. Yeah, that kind of is a thing too. Anywho, just want to let you know. So, which brings me around to, I was looking through analytics, and I was very surprised that only 11% of the subscribers to the channel have dinged the little notification bell. I would have thought it would have been a whole lot more than that. So it was 11%, which I guess is within the range of average. And then it showed that a little over 5% had the notification bell, and it was also marked, notified them of all videos. Also kind of average for YouTube channels, but I was kind of surprised. I would have thought it'd been more than that. Agile Monk says, come on, folks, get your ding on. Mark Hawkswell is with us. Good to see you, Mark. Says, no smoke for them. No problem. So I said, I'm not here to do that. Matthew Blackwell is popping on in. Says, that's weird. How else are you going to know when a new video comes up? I don't know. I mean, a lot of times, I do contests and I say, hey, you got to be a subscriber to win. I get that. But then again, a lot of times people who are watching those videos, you would think they'd subscribe anyway. Anyway, Kevin R. Smith says they've got the bell set for all notifications instead of just recommendations. Yeah, I mean, you're one of those 5%. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide 2 from my friends over at Kobold Press. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Hi there. I've been watching him. He finds a safe place, stops, and stands well back from the curb. He always stops before crossing the road, looks and listens, and off he goes, looking and listening all the way. He's great. I'm going down. Congratulations. You really know what you're doing. Always use the green cross code, because I won't be there when you cross the road.
Wherefore art thou, Romeo, and whereof is my Wilkins instant coffee?
The coffee's all gone.
Well, so am I.
3, 2, 1, blast. She's up. Come in ideal countdown control. Ready for second launching.
Atlas moving into position.
Fuel her up.
All set.
Countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! There she goes!
Yes, you can be in command of your own ideal countdown. It's a real electronic missile base. You sit at the controls and move missiles into place. You count down. You blast off. You track the flight. The ideal countdown comes complete with moon missile and lunar probe, as well as a giant atlas. Get your electronic ideal countdown now, wherever good toys are sold.
It's wonderful. It's ideal. Sugar Bear, who ate your Super Sugar Crisp cereal?
Shaggy Dan, he'll be back.
How do you know?
Super Sugar Crisp. Eat 'em once, you want 'em twice. They're super duper good.
Let's teach him a lesson.
Shaggy loves my cereal, but he hates water. So...
Eat 'em once, you want 'em twice. I hate water.
Beat it, Shag.
I shall return.
Let's have a good breakfast featuring post Super Sugar Crisp. So super duper good, eat 'em once.
You want him twice!
In an age of innocence, before the dawn of fear, two special people found each other. Miles O'Keefe is Ator. Sabrina Siana is Rune. Fighting an evil that threatened their life, their love. Courageous. Cunning. The champion. The chosen. A different kind of legend. Follow his incredible journey into a startling world of wizardry. Magic. Superstition and sorcery. On a quest for justice. For love. For adventure. The birth of a new legend. A new hero. And a true heroine. Ator.
Ator and the Snow Dog. Oh, wait a second. That's Spytor. Sorry about that. Hey, it's really saying something when the best acting in a film's trailer is performed by the animal actors. Sadly, Keith Ulu has pointed out that they saw this in the theater when they were 13. Yeah. Yep. You know me, I just love sharing bad, cheesy movie trailers with you. And then I always try to have, like, hopefully have something, you know, in common, right? So it's a fantasy movie. Okay, we're going to be taking a look at a fantasy role-playing game release. So there you go. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a first look at Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide 2 from Kobold Press. This 256-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99. It is making its way into stores. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. Keith Ulu says they had gotten into Dungeons and Dragons a few months prior. That's why they went and saw it. I assumed that was going to be the case. So yes, I remember seeing some of the just most god awful sword and sorcery movies in the early 1980s, 82, 83 ish. So you're not alone, my friend. You are not alone. Matthew Blackwell says they were 10 when that came out. Glad his parents kept them away from that. Hey, I'm telling you, the little bear looked cute. And I guess he's in a lot of the movie. I don't know. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Player's Guide 2 for Tales of the Valiant. A couple of things I want to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Kobold Press were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that these days. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel what you're going to find inside. Kevin R. Smith says the Conan movies were hits, so everybody had to have their own clone. You know what? I don't know if Conan the Destroyer did that well. I would take a guess it was one of those films that did like really well at its opening weekend, and then word of mouth got out and it went right off the cliff. Because I remember I was super disappointed in Conan the Destroyer. It was like, for one, we knew something was up when it was no longer R-rated. And then it was like, man, this is all just being played for laughs. They made Conan out to be kind of a dipshit. It's like, Damn. Steven from Roll for Combat is with us. Said Ator is an MST3K staple. Yes, I have seen it on MST3K. All right. So let's take a peek at the back here. More paths, more power. Take your heroic journey to greater heights with Player's Guide 2, a bold new addition to your Tales of the Valiant and 5th edition D&D games. All right, so it's telling us what's in the book. We're going to find out when we take a peek inside. Player's Guide 2 is your next step into greater tales, mightier heroes, and deadlier villains. You've been valiant. Become legendary. First thing we'll do is take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit. Credit is due. Celeste Konowich is our lead designer on this. Quite a few other designers as well. To my knowledge, this is all player facing. So we have some new classes. We've got new heritages or lineages. Everybody's got their own name for these things now. I think we've got some new kin. So I think every class gets some new stuff in here. But then there's like other options for like criminal enterprises and stuff like that. So we're going to find out. So here we've got our chapters broken down. Chapter 1 is player options, presenting additional features and subclasses for use with the character classes detailed in the player's guide. Then we get the lineages and heritages. That's chapter 2. Chapter 3 is backgrounds and talents. Chapter 4 has equipment and magic items, so we have some new gear and goodies there. Chapter 5, spellcasting, gives us some optional rules to enrich spellcasting plus new spells available for each magic source. Then we have expanded rules, detailing additional rule systems to further enrich gameplay, including a base building system, additional downtime activities, rules for gameplay beyond 20th level, an expanded suite of player rewards, and then we'll have our appendix with various different tables. So it says, well, the content in this book builds upon the core rules of the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game. All of it should be considered optional. So there you have that. Art by Hobo is with us. Gotta say, I'm not recognizing that nickname. So welcome aboard. Might be a first-time visit in chat, so make yourself comfortable. Kevin R. Smith says, looks like Conan the Destroyer made half the money Conan the Barbarian did. I had a feeling. Apparently, the secret of the first movie's success was that Oliver Stone co-wrote the screenplay. I think most of it was probably because it wasn't played for laughs. I mean, there were some, kind of funny scenes in it, but it wasn't like, Conan's just some drunken doofus. Plus, there's some pretty good violence in that movie. I mean, which pales in comparison to the gore that we get in movies these days. I think if that movie came out now, it'd be probably like PG-13. So here we got our class options. So we got 3 new classes. Kevin R. Smith had mentioned earlier that they were kind of up in the air on the 3 new classes. We have the Theurge, I think that's how it's pronounced, the Vanguard, and the Witch. So it looks as if we're going to kind of tackle some of the new boons and subclasses for the classes already in the game. So here we got the Barbarian, Chaos subclass, Four Winds subclass, the Kraken subclass. Barbarians who travel the path of the Kraken manifest some aspect of the fearsome Leviathans, causing them to partially transform when they rage and take on the aspect of the sea-dwelling Titans. Okay. All right, so there's the bard, the cleric. So we have the Tempest domain. Obviously, those would be storm related. The druid, the mechanists, the monk. So in the other player's guide, there are, of course, subclasses for each of the main classes as well. So this is going to give you a lot of options here. Got the sorcerer. All right, so here we go. Now we've got our new classes. So we have the Theurge. Some spend their lives poring over ancient tomes and texts. Others devote themselves to the gods, acting as emissaries of the divine. The Theurge seeks to achieve a perfect balance between the arcane and the divine, blending both kinds of magic into a powerful and cohesive whole. They revel in the unbridled wonders of magic, regardless of its source. So does that mean we're going to be able to draw from both arcane and divine spells? And it looks like we have some additional features. So we have the spell nexus, spell casting. Yeah, okay. So they do prepare spells in advance before they can use them. And then we get some subclasses. So we have the Illuminary. They're just that embody the Illuminary devotion, draw and focus power through symbols. They consider the distillation of complex concepts into words or signs to be the ultimate form of power. We have the Source Spinner. So they perceive magic as a delicate and infinitely complex web that connects everything in existence. Then we got the Vanguard. Vanguards are born to command. They possess a keen sense of strategy and tactics and an uncanny knack for quickly ascertaining the best course of action while blades whirl around them. Vanguards are consummate leaders and highly trained, disciplined warriors. They have tactical minds and add inspiring presences on the battlefield. Warriors are often drawn to follow a vanguard, relying on their grasp of advanced formations and battlefield tactics to help defeat their adversaries. Kevin R. Smith also points out that some classes got subclasses in the Labyrinth World Guide. Yes. In fact, if I remember correctly, it was most of the classes did get new subclasses in that. Reading aid, Wallona's Cave, Kevin R. King, and I think somebody else came strolling on in. No, I think I said hello to everybody. So welcome. Good to see you all again. So we have the Vanguard gets to use stratagems. So the subclasses, we've got the Bulwark. Bulwarks are battlefield healers and protectors. They are brave to a fault, rushing into the fray to protect those in need, healing the fallen, and when necessary, sacrificing themselves to save a comrade. Those skilled warriors, they often have secondary roles as chaplains or religious counselors for fellow soldiers. You also have the Herald and the Marshal, who are the ultimate vanguards. They hone their martial and leadership skills to become beacons of authority on the battlefield that inspire undying loyalty in those they command. Those that choose this path inevitably leave their mark on history as knights of legend, ruthless conquerors, or brilliant generals. So then we get into the Warlock there. And then here's the Witch. Witches are spellcasters who wield knowledge and power drawn from their communion with spirits. They cultivate their bond to these supernatural entities, becoming guardians of the veil between worlds, attendants of deep knowledge, and liaisons to realms of limitless possibilities. Though their power is drawn from supernatural forces, witches often possess a deep connection to the natural world. See, that's where I would have thought that this would have been more aimed at the witches being more natural magic, not necessarily gaining their powers through communion with spirits. That's just me. So some of their features, of course, spellcasting. Our subclasses. The Crimson Cord, which is aligned with the coven of the Crimson Cord, draws strength from spirits of vitality and are master manipulators of the physical bodies that house the living. Such witches are championed as master healers, able to extend life, heal grievous wounds, and burn away afflictions of the body with remarkable precision. Now, seems to be stealing a little thunder from the clerics. Got the Night Song. They embrace the mysterious and predatory forces that thrive in darkness. And then we have the Twilight Soul, which is aligned with the coven of the Twilight Soul, are the ultimate emissaries to the spirit realms, often compelled to serve as guardians and diplomats in matters where the physical and mystical worlds collide. Such witches are typically drawn to the weird forces early in life through accident, magical circumstance, or tragedy that leaves an indelible stain upon their mortal spirits. One thing I have noticed with some of the more recent Kobold Press books, they're utilizing kind of a cast of characters in their artwork. So this witch appears in more than one image in this book. I know the Marshal, Vanguard, that character I have seen in other stuff as well. So here we go. We've got our lineages and heritages. So we had the Damphir, child of a human and vampire, Dragonborn. We have the Elemental Scion, the Gearforged, the Goblin, the Rakasans, little plant people. Okay. The Sapopova, they're amphibious people with frog or toad features. Pete actually says they're obsessed with Tasha. That's one hell of a witch. Kevin King says that their daughter is a fan of Tasha. Kevin King also points out that his copy of this book is sitting in Memphis thanks to the snow. Kevin R. Smith said Kobold Press needed an answer to Leshy's. Did they really, though? Did they have to? Don't they already have like little fungus folk? Well, I know they have little fungus folk, little mushroom folk. So we've got some variants. Oh, we've got the drow, I think, don't we? Yeah, so we've got the Djergar. I always mispronounce that. You know, the dark dwarves, the drow, sea elves. All right, and then we've got heritage options. See, there you go. There's that witch again. And then I believe this is a goblin behind her. I've seen that character in multiple images. I think there's one early on in the book with her. It might be her and the Vanguard battling some monsters. All right, so our backgrounds and talents. So as you can see, we're 120 pages in, so we're almost halfway. this is packed with player-facing goodies. So I have to say, Tales of the Valiant is starting to reach the point. It's not quite going to be Starfinder at its, the penultimate moment where it's got like all of these options. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of character options with Tales of the Valiant. If you're kind of curious as far as the difference between Tales of the Valiant and like 5e D&D or new 5.5e D&D, Tales of the Valiant does have a little bit more of, I don't want to say an old school vibe, because it's really not in any way, shape, or form an OSR game. But it does harken back, at least in my opinion, a bit more to the early days of fantasy role-playing games. The characters are heroic. They have much higher survivability, of course, than in an OSR game, but they don't feel as invincible right off the bat as like Dungeons and Dragons characters are. But of course, just about everything in this book is also going to be compatible with D&D. So here we've got equipment and magic items. The Bracers of Throwing. It's a wondrous item. It is uncommon, and it does require attunement. When you make a ranged attack with a weapon with the thrown property, the weapon flies back to your hand immediately after the attack. In addition, when you throw any weapon or item that deals damage, such as a hand axe or alchemist's fire, increase that damage by 1d4. Well. We have the Flicker Glaive. You gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. Its default form is that of a quarterstaff, but as a bonus action, you can transform it into a glaive or back again. As a glaive, the weapon can also make a ranged weapon attack, firing its blade from a range of 30/60. So 30 would be, I guess, yeah, that would be the normal range. And I think 60 is long range. On a hit, the blade deals 1d10 piercing damage, and the target must succeed on a DC 15 dex save, or be knocked prone from the force. The blade housing can hold up to 3 glaive blades, and if the blades are recovered, they can be reloaded as a bonus action. Once fired, a new blade automatically replaces it from within the blade housing, if there are any available. That sounds kind of wacky. Reading 8 says they love the lineages and heritages of Tales of the Valiant. So Kevin King is pointing out that his daughter GMs. Very nice. Very nice. So here we've got some new spellcasting options. So we have a rules option using spell points. Okay. Having full spellcasting classes, half caster classes. I think they both use those spell points. Got our spell lists. I think these lists are for the new spells only. That's kind of cool. Once again, I have to point out, I like Kobold Press's art. I know some people don't necessarily dig it as much as I do because they feel it's a little too static, and I get it. I understand that. But personally, especially like if I'm looking at like a monster entry or NPC entry, I prefer to see a static image as opposed to something that's got, a lot going on in it. It's like, okay. So let's see. Pain Rack. It's a second circle weird spell. A creature within range must succeed on a con save or feel a twinge of pain. For the duration, when the creature takes an action, you can use your reaction to intensify the twinge, giving it disadvantage on its first roll during the action. Then the creature must succeed on a Constitution save or take 1d6 psychic damage. At higher circles, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of third circle or higher, the psychic damage increases by 1d6 each slot above the second. Then we have paranoid delusions. I experience those all the time. Righteous Fervor. It is a 6-circle divine enchantment. Choose any number of creatures within range. For the duration, each creature has advantage on saves against effects that cause the charmed or frightened conditions. If a targeted creature currently has the charmed or frightened condition or both, it can immediately make a new save against each effect, ending it on a success. When the target makes an attack roll before the spell ends, it can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the attack result. On a successful attack, target adds your wisdom modifier to its damage. If the target is reduced to 0 hit points before the spell ends, it's reduced to 1 hit point instead. A target can only receive this benefit of the spell once per casting. That's pretty interesting. Kind of cool. It can last up to a minute, does require concentration. So now we've got some rituals here. Animated house cleaning. Okay. Stephen from Roll for Combat says it's actually one artist mostly who does the artwork for Kobold Press. And Stephen uses them as well in the Roll for Combat stuff. Since Stephen has popped in, Stephen, I'm going to send you an email, and I want you to respond to it because Stephen and I ran into each other at the Philadelphia area gaming expo, and I have not gotten emails from Stephen. I've gotten emails about stuff going on for Roll for Combat, but not a lot. So I am of the impression that I'm not getting all the emails. So I'm going to send you an email probably tonight and then see if you respond to that, if I'll get that response and see what happens with that. Because I know you got some stuff cooking. Actually, I should also mention Kobold Press has a big Kickstarter they just launched. I think it was on Tuesday. I am going to share news about it tomorrow. Reason I didn't share it tonight is because if you happen to watch the live streams relatively often, I don't double dip. Very rarely will I double dip with news pieces from the same company or take a first look at something from a company and have a news piece from them as well. So quite a lot of spells here. Let's see. Warding Charm. It's a first circle divine and weird ritual. Takes an hour and it lasts 8 hours. Layering simple adjuration magics on a small item, you create a warding charm designating a creature present during the ritual, which can be you as its bearer. A creature bearing the charm gains a bonus on saves equal to half your spellcasting attribute modifier, minimum bonus +1. For the duration of the spell or until it fails a save. At higher circles, as you unlock higher circles, this ritual grows in potency. Once you have access to 4th circle spell slots, the save bonus increases to your full spellcasting modifier. Once you have access to 6th circle spell slots, the charm provides advantage on saves against spells of one school of magic of your choosing at the time of casting. Once you have access to 8th circle spell slots, the bearer fails to save, the charm's magic allows the creature to choose to make the save instead, and the spell ends. Ta-da! All right, expanded rules. Hey, there's that witch again. There's a goblin. There's the Vanguard. I don't recognize him. So we have base building. So I doubt that we're going to get into like a lot of domain play here. I think this is more creating a base of operations. You know, it's funny how many people playing fantasy role-playing games don't realize that, you know, in the old days, it'd be like, well, you know, when your fighter gets to 8th level or 9th level, whatever it was, it's like they get a keep and they get, you know, a number of men-at-arms and other fighters who follow them. Yeah, it's kind of lost in like modern style fantasy role-playing games. So it looks like we've got quite a lot of various different aspects that can be added to your base of operations, such as a theater. Is it with first run films? And personnel. So creating custom personnel. Oh, I guess it's got a little bit of a domain play aspect to it. I'm not seeing something where it's like, okay, so this is the upkeep for all of this. There you go. Thieves Guilds. A criminal enterprise. Is this the downtime? Yeah. I was going to say, here's some new downtime stuff. We have creature training. Criminal enterprise. If allowed by the GM, you can spend downtime engaging in criminal enterprise, a sophisticated variety of crime that is organized, complex, requires the combined talents of many individuals. Running a successful criminal enterprise requires gathering information, forging connections with criminal contacts, and ensuring the necessary wheels of business stay greased. This activity requires access to a thieves guild or similarly well-organized criminal network. Work with your GM to determine what organizations of this type exist in the world of your game and how the PCs can get involved in their particular brand of illicit business. Well. Then we also have infamy. Epic advancement. So here we're looking at up to 30th level. I don't know. I say it all the time. I don't think that most game groups playing fantasy role-playing games really end up getting into those high-level adventures. I think at a certain point, high-level adventures are pretty tough to pull off effectively. Just think of all the adventures that were out there for higher level characters over the years where it's like, okay, we're going to, and the term used to always be gimp. We're going to gimp the players. Where it's like, oh, well, no, you can't use that ability that you spent years gaining experience to have because that ruins the adventure. And Darius Termina is joining us. It's been a while since we've seen them. Welcome back. They said they hoped the Darrow lineage was going to return. Now, I didn't see that, and I'm pretty sure it is not in here. All right, so then we wrap up with some advertising. And, of course, I've got reviews of those, too. I've got reviews of the old Margrave. So if you are curious about Tales of the Valiant, some of the other releases out there, including the core books, I have reviews of all of them for the most part. I think all of the major books I do have reviews for Tales of the Valiant. Once again, this is the Player's Guide 2 for Tales of the Valiant from my friends over at Kobold Press. It is arriving in stores. It is 256 pages. It carries an MSRP of $49.99. If you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so for $29.99. And Nature Net 09, who I believe might be a first-time visitor in chat with us, says it's the Labyrinth World book that has the Darrow. Yeah, you know, it was ringing a bell. I point out all the time that, you know, it's not as if I'm taking a look at hundreds of role-playing game books. So sometimes I'm not positive about stuff. Hey, like I had pointed out earlier, yeah, this is not a Dungeon Tube channel. This is a news and reviews channel here on YouTube. So, I mean, just reviews alone, I want to say I have probably done. So I know we've got about almost 1,300 reviews total. So those are videos and written reviews, because first few years of the Gaming Gang, it was all written stuff. And we did a podcast. I would say I have probably put together 850 to 900 reviews myself over the last, well, we're on our 16th year now. So that is quite a lot. So I think people understand when I may not have the exact fact rattling around in my head about a particular game or game book. So, anywho, pretty cool. I was impressed by how much is in here. I dig Tales of Valiant. I dig Kobold Press. I say it all the time. I love the Midgard setting. I wish they would just invest more into that. And like, because I know some of their adventures are more like, oh, well, you can drop it in anywhere. So I don't want to say they tend to be like more generic. I don't mean that. But they just don't have that extra something that Midgard has. Because Midgard is just a really cool setting. In ways, it reminds me of Dolmenwood. Not that it's old school or fairy tale like or anything like that. But Midgard kind of has the layout like Dolmenwood, where it's like, depending on the sort of adventure and campaign that you and your players are looking to experience, will kind of determine where you set your adventuring. So you got a lot of different options out there as far as where you can set your adventures. That's one of the things I think is super cool about Dolmenwood. If you want something that's, you know, a lot darker, well, then you're going to go to certain areas. If you're looking for something that's going to have a lot more to do with the Fae and the land of fairy, well, then you're probably going to aim for other regions. So Kim King says, picked up Midgard, but the kids had me prepping some setting with fluffy little creatures and trainers. A little Pokemon-ish action, I would guess. Or Digimon. Isn't Digimon kind of like that too? Where it's like they're training the little monsters, the little creatures. I don't know. Got to be honest, I have probably seen all of 3 minutes of Pokemon / Digimon. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's just not my thing. Not my thing. All right. So on tomorrow's show, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Level Up Advanced 5E's Monstrous Menagerie 2, Hordes and Heroes from EN Publishing. So that is on tomorrow's show. Then next Tuesday, as I pointed out, we're going to take a look at Dark Visions as well as The Tower of Six. These are from RPG Ramblings. And I think we will also dip into Oz, another Andrew Kolb book. So we already took a peek at Neverland. This is Oz, which I believe is second in the series. And then we will also, in the future, take a look at Wonderland. So rumor is this kind of diesel punk sort of vibe to it. So, like I said, I think we'll be taking a look at that next week. Now, if something else arrives from a publisher, because remember, one of our friends of the show sent funds for me to buy the 3 Andrew Kolb books. So they don't take precedent over publishers sending stuff. But I think we're still going to take a peek at this. So there's that. And then like I said, I think we'll take a look at that issue of the Crusader Journal from Troll Lord Games next week, too. Yes. That's it for this time out. If you watch live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or paging through a role-playing game book or unboxing a board game. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that bell and mark all notifications if you want to make sure to never miss the opportunity to check out the latest videos here on the channel. You don't have to watch, at least it'll let you know. Well, it's supposed to let you know. Not only when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube, but it's also supposed to inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Dolmenwood, Winter's Daughter from Necrotic Gnome. Yes, I'm sharing reviews of the first 4 Dolmenwood adventures. Now, of course, this originally was produced for Old School Essentials. Now it carries the Dolmenwood trade dress. So if you're curious, check out my review. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.